On to the next presentation by SeedX. It's also going to be, they're going to be introduced by Gil as well. I guess Gil has very eclectic interests. Now, first a food tech company and next really an ag tech company. So Gil, do you want to tell us more about
Sure.
SeedX?
Sure. That's going to be the last company I introduce, so you won't hear from me again, I promise. So, I think we hear a lot in the food and ag space about interesting technologies, entrepreneurs, and capabilities coming from other industries. And I think SeedX is probably one of the most, especially from the tech side, and probably SeedX is one of the more interesting examples of that, with the founding team actually being the folks that invented what we all know today is when you put a photo on Facebook, and Facebook is able to tell you who is in the picture from your friends. So they invented face.com that was bought by Facebook several years ago. And they really took the same thesis and some of the capabilities around computer vision and AI, but this time, instead of helping you tag photos of your friends on Facebook, they actually took this capability to, I think, a much bigger problem of actually AI-powered seed phenotyping. And they are today addressing both in the world of seeds, vegetables, and food, specialty crops such as coffee, cacao, and others. It's a very interesting deep tech company, and Sarel, the CEO and co-founder, will tell you more about it. Sarel, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gil, for recommending, and thank you very much, Howard, to having us here. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. I'm Sarel. I'm one of the founders and the CEO of SeedX. As Gil mentioned before, we are not coming from the food and ag tech industry, but we are coming more from the vision and AI technologies. And we found out that is a real issue, a big problem in the food industry and in the seed industry. And that's what I'm going to present today. So a little bit on a nutshell, SeedX is already a fourth generation company within the vision and AI industry, starting over 20 years ago. But the most familiar ones are Face.com, which was one of the pioneers in anything dealing with the facial recognition technologies. After selling Face.com to Facebook, we started a company called FDNA, which is dealing with the correlation between the face and to the genetics of a human being, specifically dealing with a lot of rare genetic diseases industry. And about 4 years ago, we searched other industries that we will be able to have a big impact using the technology within these industries. And we come up with the seed and grain industry with a lot of issues that are unsolvable as of today. And after doing few proof of concepts, we found out that we can literally leapfrog the facial recognition into a seed phenotype, where I must say one of the breeders of a seed company that we spoke to simply told us, for us, every seed has its own face. And that's how we started making a lot of POC with many companies. That was 4 years ago. And today we are in a completely different stage, which I'm going to tell you about. In terms of the team, as you can see, we have a very strong and experienced team coming from the deep tech sites and less from the ag tech. And therefore, we, from the beginning, recruited both Paul Schickler and Juan Ferreira to be in the executive advisory board that are coming from these industries. Paul used to be the president and the CEO of DuPont Pioneer. Today is Corteva in the seed industry. And Juan used to be executive vice president for Monsanto, Bayer today. Both of them, not only that joined us from the very early beginning of the company, but they also invested in the company in the first stage of the company. Another guy that is very important to mention here is Elad. Elad is our CTO and the guy behind the algorithm that we've developed. Elad is a veteran in the Israeli army dealing with computer vision and AI technologies many years. And because of the networking that we have and because of the vast experience that we have in the AI and computer vision industry, we managed to put our hands on Elad and just joining us from the very early beginning to develop the algorithm of the company. So why SeedX and where are the main pain points in the industry? As of today, within hundreds of years of breeding and hundreds of years of genetics R&D, still 10 to 15% of all the seeds produced every year are not sellable. Majority of them are discarded. Still 2 to 5% of grains produced every year are discarded because of many issues. Could be health issues, toxins, and some kind of stuff. And a lot of other issues that are accumulated to tens of billions of dollars are loss of potential revenues due to pure quality. A little bit just example, all the checks, the quality checks that are done and the decision done on a full batch are done on a result of a statistic sampling. For example, in the seed industry, the industry standard of germination in majority of the crops is 90% germination. So when you have a seed produced, at the end of the seed production, you take a handful of seeds, sending to a germination test, wait about 14 days, and by the result of the germination test, you can decide on the full batch. And if the result is less than 90% of the seed germinated, so this batch, the old batch cannot be sold. In many cases, should be discarded. Which means that even if the results were 89%, because of the 90% standard, they cannot sell the batch. And that's what brings the industry to a 10 to 15% seed produced every year that are not sellable. Same as for genetic purity or a lot of health issues. And in the food industry, talking about grains, beans, pulses, anything else, there are a lot of quality parameters that, again, are checked only on a statistic sampling. And by the checks, the price of a ton or the price of a bushel is gathered. And what if you can simply look at seed by seed or grain by strain, phenotype them, train an algorithm in order to know to classify between them and simply sort out the low quality or the unqualified seeds and grain. And that's exactly what we are bringing to the table. SeedX developed together with a third-party machine manufacturer, developed the first sorting machine, AI-powered sorting machine. It's a machine that can load seeds or grain in one side, take images, train the algorithm, and on the other side, simply accept or reject the seeds according to the criteria that the customer or the user wants to set it. So for example, batches below 90% today are unsellable. We simply make them sellable. So we are turning a zero value batch into a market value batch. And I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with, for example, a premium tomato seeds batch, but 1 kilo of premium tomato seeds batch could be even more than 100,000 US as a selling price for the farmer. So if a seed company has a 10 kilos of premium tomato batch, which was not qualified at 90% germination, they literally have $1 million on the shelf that they cannot sell. And that's exactly what we are doing. We take this batch, sort out the non-germinating one, and make it sellable.
Sarel, can I ask you a quick question on this? So is there a minimum size of the seed that you have to have in order to either read it or to process it?
Yes, in this first product, yes, we have a minimum size. The minimum size is mostly brassical seeds which are about 1 millimeter diameter, a little bit even less. In the industry, there are a lot of seeds which are less than 1 millimeter diameter, but that's for the next products, the next machines that we're gonna have. We're gonna have the way to make it. I must say that the barrier is not the technology. The barrier is not the imaging. The barrier is not our technology. The barrier is mostly the mechanical barrier of running those seeds and make it available to sort out those seeds. But there are solutions in the market, and that's, I will talk about it in our business model, and you will get the better idea. But the idea of this machine is that the ROI is very quickly for the seed companies, mainly because we are turning a zero value batch into a market value batch. Just to show you a little bit of the pictures of what we are doing today. So this is how a germination batch of original batch looks like after sending to a germination. And this is how it was sorted by SeedX. It's nice to see here in the picture, but imagine the farmer that simply prepared a land for 100% land and 100% irrigation and pesticizer and whatever he has to prefer. And apparently only 91% of the batch is germinating. And that is exactly where we are coming to the table. We are making every batch over 95% germination to save the hassle for the farmer and to save a lot of hassle for the seed companies, which are our primary customers at the beginning. Take a look at this one. This one is related to the ornamental seeds, a project that we are doing with one of our customers. It's a special flower, which biologically only 50% of the seeds are really flowering. And the farmers of today are producing all the batch and they can harvest only 50% of the flowers. And the reason is biological reason that they don't know how to solve it today. We trained our algorithm, and as you can see, we turn it into 94% flowering. So we simply sort out all the seeds which are not going to bring flowers, and we kept the full batch with flowers. In the beans industry, we are doing a big project with cocoa beans fermentations, which the price of the cocoa beans is set by the fermentation level of the cocoa beans. And we proved that we can take a 60% fermentation a cocoa beans batch and turn it into 90% by only looking at the outside of the beans and sort out all the ones which are not fermented. Today, the check is a statistical sampling that they simply cut every bean and see at the inside if they are fermented or not. And the price of a batch are set because of the fermentation level that they see on the statistical sampling.
So Sarel, there's a question from the audience.
Yeah.
The question is, how long does it take to process, say, 50 pounds of seed?
50 pounds of seeds, if let's say if it's tomato, 50 pound, it's about 22 kilos, will be about 20 hours. Okay, the first units that we have, the first machine that we have is targeting mostly the premium vegetable seeds, and the speed is around 1 kilo per hour. Okay, I will not get deep into technology, but the technology is an AI deep learning technology. We are collecting any piece of information that we can from a very high resolution image of the seed. We are turning this information into a very long numerical sequence and train the algorithm based on those numerical sequence. So for the training, we need two groups of seeds. One is germinating, the other one is not germinating, and that's how the algorithm trains itself. At the end of the training, the algorithm knows to tell us, look, you gave me a batch of 70% germination, I can make it 92. You want it? Yes. We build the classifier specifically for the customer, and the customer can use this classifier to sort out the non-germinating seed for the old batch. Same as for the fermentation of cocoa, same as for genetic purity, and many other use cases that we've already tried.
So you're getting a lot of questions, Sarel, which is a good sign, and we're also running out of time. But do you have a couple other key slides you want to show before I read these questions to you?
Yes, I want to just emphasize the business model, which is important. Our business model is a SaaS revenue model. We are partnering with OEM partners that are manufacturing of today the optical sorting machines. There are many companies in the industry that are doing it. Today, the optical sorting machines are able only to clean batches, to sort out by color, shape, size, only by the physical parameters. And we add our AI inside those machines. And the idea is to partner with OEM partnerships to be the AI powered by SeedX, where the OEM partner enjoy a high level product, premium product that contains an AI, and we are charging the seeds or the food companies for sorting out the seeds. The stage that we are now is that we started sales lately in the first quarter. In the last quarter, we have a few installations already with some of the biggest seed companies, and we have agreement to service sorting as a service for over 10 companies already, and a very solid pipeline for additional machines to be sold in the next 12 months. In the food industry, we conducted over 50 experiments on different applications, different use cases that could serve the food industry, talking about fraud detection in basmati rice, fraud detection in premium coffee. Whatever I told you is a successful proof of concept that we made already to show the capabilities of the software. We don't have yet a sorting solution for these crops because of the capacities, but this is on the roadmap for the next 2 or 3 years to develop together with the OEM partners machines for these industries. In terms of OEM partners, we have already 2 partners as the OEM. We developed the V1 machine with a partner from the Netherlands, and we are now starting to develop the second V2 machine, which will be faster and more for the field crops and the food industry, with a German company. And we are now in negotiation with many other partners to move on to the V3 and more high robust machines for the food industry.
So, Sarel, here's the last question that we have time for from Carson. Yeah. So the question is, who's the addressable market for this? Is this designed for growers to purchase and run through their seed purchased from seed companies, or is it for seed companies to market higher germ seed?
So for the seed industry, definitely the seed companies. The seed companies are responsible for the germs quality and are responsible for the quality, and they are our customers. That's how we started, and these are the ones that are buying the machines right now and making the services. In the food industry, it could be either the CPGs that want to upgrade their existing batches, or the grain handlers that have the intensive to sell higher quality grains.
Right. Terrific. Very interesting. That's a great concept, deep technology. Thanks so much for that presentation, Sarel.